Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to Pelicast. I'm Sarah Harbison, General Counsel at the Pelican Institute. And if you've been following us on our social media or on our blog, you know that we recently sued the Louisiana Department of Health, along with our friends at Pacific Legal Foundation, over their facility need review requirement statute. That's a statute that says that if you want to open a home-based health business in Louisiana, you have to go through a process where the state determines whether or not your services are needed in your area before they even reach whether or not you're qualified to provide those services. So a few weeks ago, I was joined by my co-counsel, Molly Riddle, and we had a great discussion about why Louisiana's facility need review requirement violates our equal protection rights guaranteed under the U.S. and Louisiana constitutions. And today is part 2 of that discussion because we're joined by Ms. Ursula Newell-Davis, who is our plaintiff in the Louisiana Department of Health lawsuit. Welcome, Ursula. It's great to have you.
Hi, thank you. It is so wonderful to be here.
Well, we're really grateful to you for doing this and being here. And first off, I'd like to let everybody know that it's a really challenging and it can be a demoralizing, I guess, and it can be a rough process when you decide to sue the government and take on the government. So it's really wonderful that you've put yourself out there, and we appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely. It's not just about me. It's for everyone else in New Orleans, Louisiana, who would like to start a home-based program. Someone have to speak up for everyone.
That's wonderful. We're glad that you're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ursula, could you introduce yourself to us? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Again, my name is Ursula Newell-Lewis. I've been a social worker Ursula Newell-Davis. I've been a social worker for about 20 years. My interest is children, youth, and families. I love working with children and adolescents. I always pride myself on assisting our youths in becoming their best selves. I'm a wife and a mother of 3 sons. And I love helping others, especially our youth in the community, so that they can see life beyond the youthful years. They can see young adulthood and adulthood.
And you're a social worker. Could you tell us about your education, how your training, and how you came to become a social worker, why you're interested in that field?
So as a teen, a lot of my friends would come to me asking for advice. So I was always the person that would give them advice. Mm-hmm. So when I graduated high school, I was attending a math and science cap at Xavier University and decided on pre-med. Once I got into college, I realized I'm not a doctor. I'm still more of a social worker. Mm-hmm. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in social work and a master's degree in social work from Southern University at New Orleans.
And could you tell us some about your career as a social worker? You mentioned you've been doing this for about 20 years. What's your day-to-day work like? Do you specialize in working with any particular populations?
Yes, I specialize in working with children, adolescents who have social, emotional, and behavior problems. A lot of the kids I work with come from single parent homes. Mm-hmm. They are typically Medicaid recipients. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes their parents work non-traditional hours. So a lot of the clients I work with, they're home by themselves after school, which allows them to get into more trouble. So I chose that population because I know what it's like to be a single parent. You have to work and wondering, what are my kids doing when I'm at work? Are they home? So I took an interest to this population because I was a single parent, but I was fortunate enough to work traditional hour jobs. So I didn't have to worry who was taking care of my kids when I was at work because I can't afford daycare. So I took an interest in that population because it allowed me to provide services to these children. And I became a second eye in the home when the parents were away to help deter those children from peer pressure, sneaking out of the home, just engaging in a lot of negative activity, as you see our youth in New Orleans engaging in at this point.
And through your experience as a social worker, I guess you saw a need in the community and decided to start your own business.
Absolutely. The need it's a profound need. If you watch the news in New Orleans, you see children 11, 12 robbing, stealing, breaking in cars. And they're asking, where are the parents? Why the parents are not involved? My experience taught me, like I stated before, a lot of the parents work non-traditional hours. They're hopeful that their children are at home in bed versus out in the community robbing and stealing. But opening up my services would allow a second eye to be able to focus on those children who are on the cusp of falling into that lifestyle. So I can get them from the age of 6 until the age of 21, teach them the basic skills they need to have self-esteem, to pride themselves on making good decisions, and hopefully deter them from following the wrong crowd. And if we can get services like this that's focused on the youth and teaching them the skills that they need, I feel we can decrease the crime in New Orleans.
And specifically, what you do is you work with disabled children, students who might not have or learn life skills because their parents are often unavailable.
Absolutely. And a lot of the parents are just uneducated on how to work with their children. So not only do we teach the children skills, we also teach the parents skills in working with their children. So those disabilities can be developmental disabilities and can also be social, emotional, and behavior problems. Kids with ADHD, ADD, kids who seek attention from others, those kids struggling with depression who seek self-worth in their peers. So working with those individuals to see their self-worth, and also working with the parent on how do they support their child that have a special need, and not allow that child to just fall in the cracks of thinking there's nothing really wrong with my child. It doesn't give the child a label. So most of the programs, you have to have a diagnosis. This program is a program for kids who parents feel need the services to help them boost their self-esteem, that does not give them a mental health diagnosis, but provide services to teach them life skills to be able to further their life.
And in your petition, you discuss some of the skills that you're able to teach the children that they may not have learned otherwise. And it can range. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you.
It can range from anything from basic hygiene skills to getting their homework done in the afternoon.
Absolutely. And the program that I'm running, you can do that, because a lot of kids do not have that support at home to do homework. So when they're falling short, they're not able to do well in school, they're failing. Typically, kids tend to act out in school because they don't fully understand the assignments. The program I want to work, teach those skills. Let's do time management skills. Let's get homework done. Let's teach you how to wash clothes, saw clothes, wash dishes, make your bed. All the life skills that a lot of these kids are not getting because, one, sometimes parents don't know how to teach those skills, or the parent work non-traditional hours. Parents are at work 3 to 11, 11 to 7. How can that parent teach the child the life skills that they need to be successful? So the program I want to open works for a vast majority of kids. If I can get a child from 6, and I can work with children up until 17, I'm taking them through those crucial years when they tend to fall into the wrong crowd. If I can teach that child self-esteem, and when that child have peers coming to them, telling them things they should do, and I'm able to work with the parent on telling them, giving them better choices, children tend to follow the better choices when they're put up against opposition. But if there's no one to support them, teach them those skills, how do we support these kids in making better decisions? And we can't put it all on the parent. The parent can only do so much. They can only do what they know.
Right.
So educating the parent is just as important as working with that child.
And Ursula, we're obviously on Facebook Live, so we might get some questions from our viewing audience. So if anyone has a question, please feel free to drop it in the comment box. But so far, we're getting some really wonderful feedback. People are very grateful for you and what you're doing. They're very glad to hear your mission and to hear from you. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad they said that. That's important, because when you look at the petition to the state and you do the FNR, all the state sees is you're just another agency. They don't know Ursula.
No,
they don't know what Ursula can provide. My service is different than anyone else. And go ahead.
Oh no, that's a really great point that you're making. It sounds like you decided to start this business because nobody else is providing the service.
No, so in order to have this license, most of the Louisiana companies that Louisiana Department of Health and Department of Health states, there's so many agencies. Yes, there are a lot of agencies who possess the license, but a lot of those agencies are not utilizing that license. And in my petition, they asked me to look at my geographical area of where my office is located. I identified about 20 agencies that have the license, but they're not using the license. Most of these agencies have a mental health rehabilitation attached to that license. Those agencies make more money doing mental health services than they would be doing respite and supervised independent living service. So yes, there are a lot of agencies that possess that license, but a lot of those agencies are not utilizing their license. That's something the state of Louisiana doesn't take into account. They look at the number, look at the billing, look at how many people are billing for that service, and you will realize there are not a lot of agencies billing on that particular service. The whole purpose of me getting this business started, I spoke with several different agencies. When the Bayou Health Plans, I spoke with the rep for Magellan of Louisiana. She informed me, Ursula, it's a service that's needed. We have so many children that really need that additional service, that push. And she said, I think you'll be the best person to do this. For me, it's not about money. I've been a social worker over 20 years. I've made a lot of money. My ultimate goal is to always give back. So I've been doing outpatient behavioral health, working with children part-time for many years. The past 5 years, I focused on it full-time. It is a passion, a desire, my life work is to make sure every youth in our area understands there's another way to living. You do not have to fall short. You do not have to fall into the realm of peer pressure. And in New Orleans, that's exactly what it is. You cannot tell me that a 10-year-old know the only way to make friends is to go out and rob with their 13-year-old friends. 13-year-olds are not innately born to commit crime. Something happens, something's lacking, something is missing. So if we can go back and start from the age of 6, like the license say the age we can start, imagine if we can reach these children at 6. Not only are we working with them, we're working with the parents, we're working with the school system that they're engaged in. The more people we can wrap around these children, the likelihood of them committing crimes, just going off track is very limited. So when you look at that total child, I'm dealing with social skills, teaching you skills, but I'm also working with your teacher at school. How do we make sure that every part of your life, we're all intertwined and interconnected? So those services also go into the school system. It's just not a home service. It can go into the school system. You can go into the home, you can go into the school, you can go into the community. So I want to reach the total child, just not one area of that child. So it's important that Louisiana understands, please don't deny someone the right to start a program. Do more research. No one reach out to you and say, hey, Ursula, why is your program different than anyone else? No one look at the billing to say, Ursula, you're correct. There are about 600 agencies in Louisiana, but maybe in the New Orleans area, maybe 20 are billing on that particular service.
Now, if you, and if you're watching, it looks like we've lost Ursula's camera, but we can hear her okay. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we'll just continue our conversation. Maybe we can figure out how to get you back on camera, but we can still chat. So if I had a special needs child and I called up one of these facilities that has a license, and I said I need someone to come and teach my child time management. He's really struggling with his homework. I'm not home after work. These people wouldn't be able to do that because you're the only person, even though they have a license, they're not the ones who provide this type of service, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Could you walk us through the application process that you went through to obtain to attempt to obtain an FNR, or to attempt to go through the FNR process?
Well, it is a very lengthy, detailed 50-page form process. So the process is very lengthy, it's very expensive, because despite getting the license or not, you have to do that application process. You have to show that you have the funds available to run the program. So you have to have a $50,000 line of credit in order to have that program. And then you have to detail the FNR, why your particular area needs that service. And I feel that my 15-page FNR paper detailed the need. Not only did I talk about the need in my area, I did just what I told you. I told them there are a lot of agencies that have the license, but they're not using the license. It's very detailed. I went to Orleans Parish Juvenile Court. I also went to Jefferson Parish Juvenile Court. I got their statistics on the age of children that are incarcerated in juvenile jail, why they're incarcerated, what are the reasons for incarceration. I gave the stats on all of that. I even spoke with our former DA, Leon Canizaro, and he said, we definitely need more programs for our youth in New Orleans, and hopefully that will deter the crime. I actually put a call into our current DA, Jason Williams, to meet with him on, we have to do something. We definitely have to do something.
And it sounds like you put together a pretty comprehensive application. Did you get any guidance from the state, or was there anybody available to answer your questions if you had them? Or did you just take a stab at what you might need based on your conversation with these elected officials?
I developed based on the needs that I've noticed as a social worker, and then reaching out to elected officials. The state of Louisiana did not give me any insight. You call, they mail you the application out. You can call to check on the application, but as far as getting details as to how to complete it, answer questions, none of that was given to me. I was on my own.
I got a message from our tech support, Morgan. He says that there's a gear icon next to your name.
My name is not showing.
Your name is not showing. Okay. No. Let's see. All right, we can continue talking. So you applied for your FNR, you put together you applied to go through the process. You put together a pretty comprehensive application. No one from the state really helped you put it together, and you were rejected. Did they tell you why?
No, you just received a letter in the mail saying that you were rejected. No appeal process, nothing. You're just rejected. My letter just said they deemed that there are too many of the same services in the area, and that was it. It wasn't until I spoke to Molly with Pelican that she stated, were you even offered an appeal process? I said no, because if I was, I would have appealed. I would have done everything I can to convince the state to at least meet with me. You're making decisions based off paper. No one ever meet with the person to actually speak with that person about what their goal is with this particular program. Not just paper. Paper doesn't define the person. And I wish this process was more of an in-person process. Submit your paperwork, and then we interview you face-to-face to really see what the desired outcome is for your particular agency. And they don't do that. You just get a denial. That's it. I had no appeal process. They didn't even mention an appeal process in my denial paperwork.
And we have a question from Eric. He wants to know why do you think the state declined you? I mean, your best guess, I guess, since they didn't give you any reason.
The best guess I think they declined is the state of Louisiana states that they have a lot of businesses that have this license. So the state look at the number of licenses that a business hold with this particular license. So the state of Louisiana have many agencies with the license, but they don't look at how many of those agencies are actually utilizing the services under that particular license. So some agencies are licensed under multiple different Medicaid programs. The particular program that I want is licensed by many agencies, but they're not utilized by them. So it's the number. Louisiana, see, there are a number of agencies licensed. No one ever does the statistics on how many people are actually using their license.
And when your application was rejected, how did that make you feel?
I was frustrated. I was angry. I felt that it's something that I know is needed, and I wish that I can speak with someone. So when I did get the rejection, I called, and I wanted to find out what are the bases. What else do you do outside of looking at the numbers? Do you reach out and call anyone? Because I actually put stats in on how many agencies are not using the license in my geographical area. You don't get a response. They always state that, it goes before the board. You cannot find out who the board members are that actually reviews that process and gives a denial. It's just someone named Ms. Davis is the contact person to let you know that you are denied, or you can call her to speak about your application or ask questions, but they don't tell you what was the guiding principles of your denial.
Why do you think it's important to challenge this law?
I think it's important to challenge the law because I don't think the state of Louisiana should be the final determining factor of someone who meets the criteria, who want to implement a program that can help others. I see it this way. Let me take the chance. If you say there are too many agencies and the business is not there, I think I have a right to try for myself. I think I should have the right to try it And then if it doesn't work, let me know that I made a try. Don't turn me down before it gets started. They can have 1,000 agencies doing the exact same thing, but those 1,000 people, they're not Ursula Newell-Davis. Ursula Newell-Davis is a special breed. It is my life passion. It's not about money for me. I don't have another license that I'm making money on. I am set to do everything I can to change the world around me for the children that will become our future. So for me, it's my life work. It's not about money. I'm determined. And if we are on Facebook Live, there are many children that I've worked with over the years. The kids I've worked with, they don't go away. They're my Facebook friends to this day. I have kids that graduated high school, college, who are adults with children and families, and they bring their kids to meet me and they tell their children, you know, she's the reason why I feel like I'm successful today. I attend kids' high school graduation, even though we may not have worked together as a social worker and client in years. When they graduate, they reach out to me. I had a 24-year-old son who was killed while on vacation in 2015. The most touching thing I experienced was at my son's funeral. Just about every client I've ever worked with in my life showed up to my son's funeral because they saw it on Facebook that he passed. I had families that came from Baton Rouge, and when I looked in the audience at my son's funeral, several mothers told me, "You helped my babies get through life. I have to help you bury your baby." That was the most emotional time I had in my life, is to know that I made a difference to all these children, that because of me, they showed up at my son's funeral. They didn't know my son, but they knew me. And these parents knew all the hard work that I put in to support their children. They knew I went beyond the job that I was being paid for. They knew the work that I provided was beyond anything that a job can pay me. I love their children. I was there for their children. I made sure that the needs were there. I took care of the entire child. I had parents that trust me with their kids to be in the house when they're not there, because they knew my ultimate goal was to provide the best care for their children and to make them be the best person that they can be. So when I see my kids walk across the stage, my smiling moment is to know that I had a part of that. When they graduate college, I feel like I had a part of that. So to see my children, because they're not clients, they're my children, because when you walk into someone's home and you provide a service, it's no longer a client-child relationship. They become a part of your family, because when you give that much of your all to someone, they have no choice but to make better choices. And I've had kids that wanted to make wrong choices, and they'll call me to this day and say, "Miss Ursula, I need help. Can you help me?" I have a 21-year-old who's facing jail time in New Orleans. He's been off his medicine for years. He called me. He said, "Please get me help." Now he's back in treatment at the agency where I work. So I don't stop just because I no longer get paid for you. My clients call me. I've had the same telephone number for 30 years. So my clients can always reach out to me, and I make sure I keep the same number. And I know that I'm rambling on, but the idea is the state of Louisiana did a disservice when they turned me down, because for me and any of my Facebook viewers who know Ursula, they know that I give my all. It is not a second choice. There are some schools in New Orleans that does not let outside people into their schools. There are 2 schools on the West Bank that would only allow me into their schools, because they said, out of all the people that entered our school, you're the only one that have taken the interest in attending every IEP meeting, every disciplinary meeting. You show more than just a job. You have a passion to help these children. Some workers go into the school, it's about making the money and just getting the hours in. I'm beyond that. I need to see the IEP. I need to be vocal. I signed the IEP with the parent. That's how involved I am with the people that I work with. And that's why none of my clients ever go away. They still reach out to me when needed. And that is why the state of Louisiana should want to give me a license, to know that this lady is not just about getting this license. She's doing the work right now without a license for free. So imagine if I receive this license and be able to do the work, how much more I can do when I'm able to hire people to work with me, train them to be the workers that I need them to be, to support the children of the New Orleans and surrounding areas. That's what Louisiana is losing.
Absolutely. And I think that you've covered any remaining question that I might have had, I would have asked, how would the state benefit if you were successful and allowed to offer your services? And you've definitely covered that above and beyond. And I know that you've made quite a few fans in the Pelican universe today. And we're so grateful to have you. And we're so grateful that you're willing to put yourself out there and take this on for your fellow citizens and for all of these kids who could really benefit, even adults. I think there are going to be people calling you up and asking for pep talks.
Absolutely. And I think when you become a social worker, you become a social worker to everyone. It is just not one particular area. And I do want, if there's anyone out there who needs someone to talk to, please reach out to me. Let me connect you to services. My agency that I have right now is called Savant 3.0 Consulting Group. That agency is a consulting agency. I take referrals. People call me asking for services for whatever it needs in a mental health arena. I connect them with programs. Just sending them anywhere. I make sure when I connect them to a program, I speak with that program and I tell the program what's going on. So my consulting business does just that. I don't make money off the consulting business. I just want to make sure that those New Orleans area residents who need mental health services, they can call me. I don't make money off the consulting business. Who pays me? No one pays me. I want to make sure that anyone who needs mental health services know where to reach out to and know that they can get good qualified care for their children. Because that's the hardest thing for a parent to do, is to acknowledge my child needs additional help. And where can I go that's going to really take care of my child and not label my child, but really want to provide that service?
Those are all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, I just want to say I really thank you so much for having me on, actually taking on my case, because I need to be the voice of all those that come behind me, all those that were before me, who should have the right to open up a business and let them decide if they're going to make it or not make it. I think Louisiana should not be the last say. I think that they should let any agency who's willing to do it. And if they're in doubt, meet with the person. Let's do a face-to-face. Don't just deny. If this person is appealing, let's see what this person may offer that's different than anyone else. And I know, just me being the person that I am, I offer way more than any other agency because it's my life work. It is not just a job for me. I've been beyond the job. It's my life work. It's my passion.
That's as good of a closing argument, I think, as anybody could make. And we're thankful that you're doing this. As we allege, this is a violation of your equal protection, your equal protection rights. And what it does is it allows the state to pick winners and losers. And it should be a function of the market. It should be parents who say, what Ursula is offering, I can't get anywhere else. And then these are the services that my child needs. And as somebody who makes the best decisions for my child or for my own family, I should be allowed to do that. That should be up to me. The state, I can understand where it's important that we protect people who are vulnerable, but they should have the option to choose what services that they need. And I don't think that they're getting them anything like what you offer. And it's state picking winners and losers.
No. And I'm a parent of a child who have autism. So I'm very selective of who I want to work with my child. So my interest is beyond anybody else's interest. I have a son with autism, and I know how difficult it is to connect and meet with people. So I know my passion is there for my son and for other children all across the New Orleans region. A lot of parents want someone they can trust, want someone they can turn to and know that this person really cares about my child.
Absolutely.
And I've been there.
Well, we thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, that about wraps up. Thank you, everybody. And till next time. Thank you.